Hello, welcome to my studio. I hope you're doing well. So we're going to be working in my acrylic journal again. It's a small little journal, and the paints I have are Brilliant Blue and Burnt Sienna. I have a really bright lime, and it's called Vivid Lime Green. I have an orange, it's called Cadmium Orange Hue. And then I have black and white, which is always good to have. So here I went ahead and I did the background for us. And the reason why I did that is because you've already seen me do other backgrounds. And if you haven't, you can go back a couple of the acrylic. This was one of the paintings we did. You can go back and see. But this is going back to when I saw a class being advertised and I wondered if I could do it, and I'm really getting in the groove of it. So I picked three colors, the orange, the brown, and the bright blue. And then I took the bright blue after I finished this, and I just took my brush and I had a little water in it and I went like this. So I got a blue splatter all over. So I'm starting to drift away from the original designs and things that I saw, and I'm making it more my own. So I want to start out with some leaves. And when you're working with acrylic, unlike when you're working with watercolor, you work from the darkest to the lightest. So that's the opposite. Now I'm just going to add a touch of black because I want this darker, but I want to stick to my four elements, my four colors there. I do not want to add more colors to the mix. So I'm just going to take some of this green. Seems like I can get all or nothing. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and grab this and mix it in. And then I can add more green, which I'll have to, obviously, because I just made black with black. And here we go. So I want to start out with some leaves in the back. This is awfully dark. I'm half and half whether I should add some more green. I don't think so. I'm going with this. It may look completely black to you. It isn't. I'm going to add a little more green because I want you to be able to see it as well. I don't want you to just see black. There we go. And I'm just using a paper plate, but I pick a paper plate that has a white background so that it doesn't interfere with my mixing of colors. Okay. So I'm going to start out. I'm just going to set this up here. I'm going to start out with leaves. And I want the leaves to go from this side to this side. So I turned my book, but I'm working like horizontally in the book. And I think I'm going to start with the closer moving out. So I'm just going to start, and I thought I would make these heart-shaped leaves. Just like that. Hearts are easy to make, even if you're making them upside down like I am. And I think they make a cool, interesting fantasy leaf. Don't you? It could be from a flower. It could be an ivy type. Who knows? I've even used hearts to make shrubs and things. They're handy. I realize that on the darker shades, it's probably a little bit harder for you to see, but you'll get the idea because it's these things that don't maybe show up right away, but they add interest in the background, and people like it even though they may not know why they like it. Do you know what I mean? Now I'm working in that seam, so it's a little more challenging, but if I can, I do like to put something going completely across the seam because then I think it helps blend the right to the left instead of having it look like such a demarcated painting or collage or whatever I'm doing in an art journal. And I don't always do a double page spread, but this is a smaller art journal and I think it just lends itself to this. Okay, more leaves. And I guess I'm kind of going from left to right. How are you? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying working in your art journals. I hope you are working in your art journals. One of the classes, the class that I patterned this series on, she says in her ad that you need to practice 20 minutes a day. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. As a matter of fact, I wish I could say that I do that. I do try, not as hard as I should, but I do try to at least get some drawing, some, if I'm not painting or doing collage or some other mixed media work, I try to at least do some doodles or something to keep my hands limber and to keep my muscle memory going. And muscle memory is not just a catchphrase. It really is true that your muscles become accustomed, and so repeating an action becomes easier. Yep, it does. So can you see now that I'm on the lighter side, that it is not a black, but it is a dark green? I hope so. Now I am making the leaves, I'm starting to make them just a little bit smaller as I work away, because that's generally how leaves go. They're bigger at the bottom of the plant, and then they work themselves into being a little bit smaller because these are the newer leaves, right? And I've made them all pretty much the same shape, but that's not always necessary. And I do definitely want to make some going right off the page. I think that adds more interest. I think it adds movement. I think it adds just another good dimension. So I've got a half leaf over there, and we'll put a half leaf over here. Just like that. Yep. So what's happening in your world? How are you doing? I am very interested. Let me know in the comments. What are you working on, or what are you thinking about working on? Maybe you're thinking about doing some shopping for some art supplies. Where do you like to shop? Do you go to some of the bigger box here in the US? We've got Michael's and Hobby Lobby and Joann, which I shop at. Was just there yesterday. I wasn't buying art supplies per se. I was buying some photo frames for some pictures that I need to hang up. But you can get professional art supplies at those places. I wouldn't say that's what they specialize in, but you can get them, and sometimes they do have some awfully good sales. So I don't discount it, but I would say that I do tend to get more of my supplies from things like Jerry's Artorama or Blick Studios or Cheap Joe's, and none of those stores are local. That's one of the things I'm sad about. When I lived in the Detroit area, we had a Blick store at the Wayne State University campus, or near the campus, on the campus. Plus there was there was an art school nearby. And we've got a lot of colleges here where I live now, and yet there's one art supply store, and they pretty much service all of the little university, and when I say little, I mean we've got big and little, we've got private and state. It's really kind of a college town with multiple colleges is what we are. So for me to go to a Blick store would be at least a 2.5-hour drive. Now, I've got friends back there, so I know I'll be back to the store, but I don't mind doing the online thing. Nope. How about you? Where do you shop? Do you have maybe a local art supply store that you like? I know it may look like I'm putting an awful lot of leaves in, and I am. But the reason for that is, again, these are going to be in the background. Now, my dots and my colors, they're not going to be lost. Not at all. Sometimes we feel like we have to just keep everything front and center, but no, you want to have your whole canvas or substrate or whatever you're working on, art journal page. You want it to be interesting all the way. Now, none of these leaves are overlapping, so I think I'm going to put just a couple in there like that, where they're overlapping a bit, because I think that's more natural looking. They don't all have to be overlapping, but I do think it can, again, it adds a bit of, just how naturally it would be, more believable, I guess, to have some of these leaves. And then when I'm done, I will probably go back and add some of these leaves on top of what we're doing. I don't know. We'll just have to see how it unfolds. I don't have a real specific plan. Not that you're not worth a specific plan, but frankly, when I work in my art journals, I kind of let the colors and the brushes and all that just sort of take over. I'm just making the tips on some of these a little crisper. That was one of the things that really caught my eye when I was looking at this class advertisement, was just how crisp and how smooth everything was. So I want to add a bit of that because I know it was one of the things that attracted me to it. Okay, I think we're doing good. I think we are. Okay, I'm going to rinse this brush out. I do have 2 water sources, 2 water jars that I rinse in, and I try to get the bulk of the acrylic paint off in the one jar and then do a final rinse in the other jar. And I have found this to be a very helpful way. I learned it in watercolor, not acrylic, but I went ahead and put my acrylic work with the same thing in trying to just get my brushes a little more cleaner as we go. Okay, some of these are quite dry, some of these aren't dry at all. So I'm going to go ahead and get back. I can't set my plate right on here yet because it is wet. But I'm going to go back with that green and I'm going to add a few more. And we'll see how that goes. Now they may pick up some of the green underneath. That's okay. That's okay. And I'm going to start at the bottom again. Now, according to this tube, this is what? Let me see. I was reading the tubes. It is supposed to be opaque. Now, does that look opaque to you? Not to me. But that's okay. I'm not discouraged. I'm just going to maybe have to put a second coat, and that's not a big deal. Let's get the shapes on there. That's the most important part, is just getting some shapes on here. I like this already. I like the green with the brown and the blue and the orange. I think it's a nice complement. So yesterday, I went to a small little, I would say it was a craft fair. There were artists, but there were people that you would more likely see at maybe a farmer's market. Like I bought some honey from a local beekeeper, and my daughter-in-law bought a candle that was made with beeswax from the same vendor. I met a paper artist. Oh, her journals were to die for. Her work is exquisite. So we networked a little bit and we exchanged information, and she's going to be starting classes. They're on Thursday, and unfortunately, I have to work every Thursday, so I wouldn't be able to attend those. But it's okay. I mean, we'll get together somehow. I joined her Facebook group, which I strongly recommend. Network, get with other people, share thoughts and ideas. I'm telling you, that looks transparent to me. I was kind of okay, on this dark, but that does not look opaque to me unless I really don't understand the meaning of opaque. It's fine. Pardon me, I'm not gonna fret about it, but it just goes to show you read the tubes, but until you use it, you just don't know. But with Liquitex, I do know, and I appreciate that every tube I buy, it will be the same, even if I don't buy a tube for 10 years. If it's the same color name, the same color number, and I'm not talking about lot numbers. They just give all these paint companies, your paint colors have numbers, and they have pigment information, all that. But it will be the same, which is cool. Now, they don't always keep all of their paint colors. They retire some and they bring in new, which keeps the line fresh. Some of them are what I call fashion colors. You can see that they picked out colors that you're seeing in fashion. I would believe, I don't know this for a fact, but I would believe that a company like Liquitex sends people to things like New York Fashion Week to see what's up and coming, and they probably look at home decor and what is going on there, and just what are the colors that people are going to be looking for, what are the colors that people are going to be wearing, or what the colors of cars coming up, are all of it. It all is important if you're designing paint colors. And I don't care if you're painting houses, painting vehicles, painting your house. It is the colors of fabric. It all is relevant. And making colors is a science. And they use minerals, and they use like chemical process. I guess that's not quite right. Like they'll take a mineral and they'll burn it. And that's where you get colors like burnt sienna. But they take plant sources, mineral sources, and that's how they make these colors. And it's a science, because you don't want you want it to be reliable. So it's definitely a science. Chemist, art colorists, just all of it. So what else was at that little art show? There was a gentleman, I think it was a gentleman. There was a husband and wife, but the husband was, well, a couple. He was doing most of the talking, but he had cement, like, garden steps, the things that you put in the ground, and they're decorative. And he had the silhouettes of different states, and he had different real pretty rocks, minerals, colored glass inside. It was really interesting. Now, I don't live in a place that I would benefit from something like that, and he didn't have anything smaller that you would use as a desk ornament or hang on a wall. They were all very large, very heavy, well made, it seemed to me. Of course, I don't know what he used for concrete, but if I would have had a yard and I would have needed something like that, I wouldn't have hesitated. It's just not where I'm at right now. I'm just looking to see if we need any more. I want another one to go off the edge. Again, I really think it makes a difference. Let's put one maybe over here. And now I'm going to hit some of these again that, well, I guess I could do them all. Just give them a second coat. My air conditioning is running. It's in the 80s, and it's evening. It's supper time, but it's warm, which is great. The warm weather can stay as long as it wants. I enjoy the snow. I really do. I just don't like driving, and it's not snow, ice. I don't like driving in ice. But the winter can be so beautiful. It really can. I've never been a big winter sports nut, but I love going for walks on a winter day, dressing up warm, putting the boots on. Absolutely love it. Right now it's autumn. The leaves are starting to change. It's the end of September. I can't believe I'm saying that. I mean, it feels like yesterday was Labor Day, which in the US, that's like, I want to say it's the first Monday of September, I believe. But it's one of our holidays, like bank holiday type of thing. So it sort of demarks the unofficial end of summer and start of fall or winter. Just like Memorial Day, which is like the last Monday, I believe, in May, is the unofficial start of our summer. The kids are all back in school. The colleges are going full bore. You see college students at the bus corners, and where I live, I see people coming and going with book bags, and you can just, they just look collegiate. So, and you know, I hate to say it, but in my life, it always seems like once the kids go to school, it's time to put up the Christmas tree. It just all goes that fast. Christmas is definitely in a lot of the stores. But if you're going to be making things for Christmas, you got to start now. You know, if you're going to be embroidering a beautiful tablecloth for Christmas dinner, well, you can't start that the week of Christmas. At least I wouldn't think. I know I wouldn't be starting. I mean, I've already started in the planning stages some Christmas cards, holiday cards, and then I already started making some wrapping paper. So yeah, but I'm not ready to put up my tree. I may not get all of these leaves a second coat, and that's okay. You know, some leaves are going to look faded. Some leaves are going to look healthy. And that's all okay. How we doing? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. And while you're thinking about the comments, if you like my content, I would so appreciate if you would consider subscribing. It helps my brand new channel so much. I'm less than 6 months in YouTube at this point. This is 2022 September. So I am a new YouTube channel, and your subscription means a lot to YouTube and to me. But you know, it tells YouTube that my content is worth sharing with others, which obviously is a huge help. I try to answer every comment thoughtfully and sincerely. So if you leave me a comment, I will engage. There, how are we doing? I think that's looking good. All right, let's rinse out the green. I'm going to consider the stems later. I want to start getting some flowers in, and I know the green is very fresh. I think I can move these out now. I still may do some over the edge, but I don't think it'll be enough to glue my book together. Okay, now that I've turned it like this, I feel like I need more leaves down here. Yeah, I do. So let's just get a few down at the bottom. And it is common for me to not get the edges and the corners like I should. And unless I'm going to be putting on a border of some kind, even if I am, I'll put the border right on top. But if I've got things falling off the page there, well, then I need to have some leaves filling in the bottom, I would think. A little bouncy. There was at the craft fair, there was, I don't know, lady, man, I don't know. There was a booth, and they had all kinds of dog, what you call it, clothing. They had different kinds of bandanas and things that you attach to their collar, all handmade, just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I don't have a dog, but I certainly could appreciate the handiwork. Absolutely. It was beautiful. Okay, I like that better. Yeah. I'm not worried that I don't have any of the light green, but I'm happy that I've got a couple of the dark green a little further down. Yeah, that's helpful. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use real exciting white. But even though I realize that this green is not as opaque as they seem to feel, or my definition of opaque and theirs is a little bit different, but that it's all good. I don't want to sound like a complainer because I'm really not complaining. But what I had planned to do all along is I'm going to put white circles where I'm going to be making some flowers. I want to use a bigger brush. I don't think this is too big. I am going to wet it and then blot it off really good. But that just helps the paint from just sinking into my brush and not getting onto my book. And let's get started with some shapes. Now, I am not worried if these are completely opaque, but I'm just going to get some circles on here where I'm going to be putting some flowers. Now I'm going to make some of them circles like these, and then some of them I'm going to make ovals because the flowers will be coming at us at different angles. So some will be in the shape of a circle, but the ones that are, you know, here, if this is a circle flower, then some will be tipped this way, some will be tipped this way, you know, and that gives us a more elliptical shape instead of a circle shape. So I want to have a little bit of both. And get this flower near the seam. And another flower here. Couple more. I'm going to have one going right off the page. I'm going to grab my, and I'm not so worried about the color getting into the book, but it's that the acrylics are so strong that they will glue the book together. So that's what I'm attempting to avoid. Okay, you need another flower here. Maybe this will be another elliptical shape, like that. Yep. Probably looks strange, but when we put the flowers in, it'll make more sense. Maybe another I got an elliptical here and elliptical here, so I'll put in another oval or ellipse over here. And I think we need another one going off the page. Oy, oy. Get some of this in here. That's good. One more, at least. Okay, I think one right here. Okay, that looks good to me. Now, I'm going to do some mixing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be mixing my colors, which I'm going to use the orange and the blue primarily. I'll use the brown too. I'm going to just move this aside while it dries. So I'm going to start with the orange. I'm going to add 2 dots on my paper here, on my paper plate. I'm going to add 2 dots of the blue. Those are kind of close together, but they'll be all right. Yep, okay. One's a dot, one's a smear. And then the brown. I don't know if you can see the difference in the viscosity, but the different pigments will do that. It's not a bad reflection on the paint. It's that they, the different minerals or the different things they use. Now I'm going to add white to 1 of each of these dots because I want to create a little bit of a lighter shade and then some of the full-blown shade. And we'll see how many flowers I can get out of this. Let me get, and I'm making sure my brush is extra clean. It might be too big for mixing though. I'm going to go back to this brush for mixing. All right, here we go with the orange. Good, good, good. I'm trying to kind of push it all in the middle. And I've got orange on my brush and I hate to waste it. I'm going right over here with it. Any of these dry? This one's pretty dry. So I'm not adding to my palette colors. I'm just changing the color. So when I say that it's good to use a limited palette, it is for cohesiveness. And I don't care if you're doing portraits. I don't care if you're doing landscapes. Now, maybe you want to not limit yourself to 4 colors, but you definitely want to limit your colors for it helps with having things look more cohesive. I'm set this aside again and let's mix up another one. I've still got orange coming out. Okay, so you can mix the colors of your choice that you've picked out, and you can mix them with white, you can mix them with black, like I did the green, or you can mix them together. Now, my colors that I picked out aren't really typical that you would mix together. You know, if I would have picked a yellow and the blue, I would have not picked out a green to go with. Do you see what I mean? All right, now again, I don't want to waste this paint on my brush. So let's get a blue one on here. And I'm just going right over those white circles that I already made because I did want these to stand out from the leaves and the background. I'm going to make this a bit more of a point on that edge. Okay. All right. Do I have enough for another one? I kind of do. I'll do one over here. Look, see? Oh, maybe you can't see. Look, see here? Okay. Now, the brown. Going with the brown. And this should make kind of a tan or a khaki color, but hey, that's okay. You know, oh, brown flowers. Let me tell you something. If you look at some of my earlier videos, I'm working in an altered book, and the book was called Flowers for a Friend. I still have it. I make it sound like it's in the past, but I think I have filled it though. All the flowers were brown. Every variety of brown. I thought, what? Why would you have and give your friend all brown flowers? All right, here we go. I'm gonna put this one here. It's really kind of a pretty milk chocolate color. I like it. I think I'm going to bring that right over to the other side of the book. Yep. May not show a lot, but it'll show. Sometimes your eye will fill in sort of the blanks. Okay, I've mixed all of my colors, so I'm going to go ahead and keep working. So I'm going to do, and I probably have too much paint, but that's okay. I'm going to do one of these elliptic ones. See, my other acrylic videos that I was doing in this series, those paintings were more than an hour long video. So that's why I went ahead and did the background ahead of time, because I mean, I'm a realist. Who wants to sit that long? I mean, when you're following along and painting along, sure, but still. All right, let's get one more tan one up here. I think that'll be nice. But all of these things take longer than you might think, even for me. And I'm supposedly know what I'm doing, but they definitely take longer. Now that I've turned my book over, I can see that I missed this. This goes way out here. So let's put that in. It's, you know, my apartment is getting dark. Not that dark, but you know what I mean. The sun is setting. And so the lighting that I have here, which I hope is still adequate for you, is I have reflection, but that's okay. All right, so we did 1, 2, 3 flowers. Let's the same with the brown. I mean brown, the round one. I missed right up here. There. Okay, good. Now, put in a couple of more blue ones and a couple of more orange ones. Yes, sirree. All right, let's get this blue. Got a little water in there, I sure do. Well, we'll give it a go. It's certainly not enough water that my paint will flake off, but may add to the dry time. Okay, so now we've got 3 already of the blue, but I still have orange. I think I can still afford one more blue. I'm turning my book around so that I'm not dragging my arm through the wet paint. So I hope you can forgive me that. I hope it doesn't make you dizzy. Okay, good. And now some orange ones. And I think they're gonna really help this with some more color. Now, if you're working like I am and your paints are feeling overall like they're drying or getting a skin on them, grab your mister, and this is just a hair product bottle that I have, and just give it a mist. That's it. Don't do any more than that, but that will help add the hydration back into your paint without watering it down, and you'll be able to keep going, and it'll help prevent that skin from starting to dry, because the acrylics dry fast. Maybe not as fast as I want to sometimes when I'm doing videos, but truly, they do dry fast. And when you've got it thinned out a little bit, you know, like spread over a thin coating on a palette like I do, then you do deal with a little bit of that quick drying. All right. And I'm going to put one up here and get some more color. So then after the craft show, and there was only about 50 vendors. It was just sweet, very sweet. We went to Michael's, and I didn't really look at art supplies. I looked at frames, because my grandson is a year old, and I really haven't put out any pictures of him. He was born just literally a few days after I moved here, and I've got the pictures, and of course they're on my phone, and I've got them, you know, in an envelope, but I wanted to get some up on the wall. Now that I feel like I've got my furnishings kind of set where I'm gonna keep them, because I have had to shift things around a bit. Okay, I think just this one more white circle, and I'm trying to decide. I think I'm gonna make it tan. Yep. So anyway, I got some frames, and it just happened that the frames that I really like were on clearance. They were only $10 each, and I sincerely liked them. I picked them before I looked at the price. So I want to get those framed up and on the wall. Hopefully this weekend. May not, though. Not going to pressure myself. Just do the best I can. Okay. Then we got some carryout, and we had supper at the grandson's house. My daughter-in-law is a darling. I'm so fortunate. I'm so blessed. But we had dinner, and as I said, my son is out of town, coming home tonight, and her parents were back in Detroit, where I came from, and they were helping their other son move into his first home. So that was exciting for them. So that left my daughter-in-law and I that we could hang out together, which was wonderful. All right, now I'm going to start putting some of these leaves, and yeah, this is getting dry, but that's okay. It's wet enough that I can still work it. I'm going to put some of these leaves over. See, let's see, like right here. I'm going to just bring this leaf over the flower, and that is going to give it, again, more dimension. And I've got another dark leaf. That's too fresh. I just painted that one. Over here, yeah, I can do this one. And I'm going with the dark for right now. But see how that pushed that flower back? Isn't that cool? Okay. How about right here? Let me put another one. Now, I'm not going to do all of them. You want some in the front, some in the back. But I just think it adds a layer that it doesn't just look like everything was just plopped down. Like you could, well, she did the leaves first, then she did the circles, then no, I don't want that. I want it to be less predictable. Okay, that will do that. Now maybe I can pick out a couple of the lighter green. Now I realize that may take more than one coat, but that's okay. We can do it. Blot out this brush. All right, like right there, and I still have some of my green. That didn't do bad. Not bad at all. Okay. Again, we've got it here, but that orange is really, really wet. How about up here on this tan one? Yep. Not quite the coverage, but I can always add another coat. Okay. Let's see. This leaf just needs a little bit of rounding off. There we go. All right, let's find another one. It's got to be another one. Now this one is already in front, and so I'm going to leave that light one in the back. Same with this one. I am going to darken this up where this leaf is on top of that leaf and just help that out a bit. I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay. Well, can I find another one? If I can't, I'm not going to worry about it. There's one that is behind, but it has dried so transparent that I'm just going to darken it up a little bit. I've got one over here. I guess I could put that one on top. Let's do that. Okay. Now I've got this green paint going, so I'm just going to be adding to some of these very transparent. They're still not going to completely eliminate the background, but it's okay. It's better. It's definitely better. Yep. Michael's was, for a Saturday, not as busy as I thought, and I was able to just walk right up to the register, and there was only one person checking out, so that tells you. I would suppose maybe if people were going on a Saturday to Michael's, they would maybe be going early so they could work on their projects instead of at the end of the day. I don't know. We certainly weren't by ourselves, but I wouldn't say it was crowded. Not by a long shot. See if we can get a second coat on here. That makes a difference. Just adding a coat. All right, I'm going to turn it around so that I am getting the other view, and then I can see a little bit better where I may want to add a little more green of this light green. All right. Okay, now I'm going to be adding centers to these flowers. And so I've got my full boar color, the color that I didn't mix. Like there's the orange, there's the brown, there's the blue. So I was trying to think, do I want to put a darker version of the same color? I don't think so. So I think on top of the brown, ooh, I'm dropping water in it. Dummy. Grab some of this because that was a little good sized drop there. Right in the seam. Okay. So, pardon me. I think I'm going to put the orange in the tan. So let's find my orange. Now, some of them that are going off the edge of the page or that are covered up, you may not see. But I'm putting the full bore orange here and here. And a little bit here. And maybe a little bit showing here. And the center is going to be an ellipse just like the other. Okay, now in the orange, I think I'll put the blue. So I've got my blue here. And, oh, that's dry. Let's add just a touch of water. I can make soup so fast. Yep, that's dry. Oh, my. Okay, that's good. Okay, blue, I'm going to get my little mister here because I really don't want to add too much water. Okay, over here, still plenty thick. And over here. And one more. When I put these blue dots in, these blue centers, I'm seeing the splatter more. I like that. Okay, I think I've got all those. So now I need to put the brown in the blue. Right? Right. Okay. Let's get the brown, full bore. No added of white. And right here. I don't think you'd see that center. An elliptic one. Ellipse. And one right here. I think we're good. Do I have any flowers not with centers? I don't think so. Okay. Well done. Now, I am going to dry this and I will be coming back. See you in a bit. Okay. So I've got this dry to the touch, but it is not cured. And if you gouge, the paint will definitely move. And then I pulled my Poscas out. So these are just acrylic paint pens, and I'm literally giving them all a shake. And I picked out the blue. So I picked out the dark and the light blue. I picked out a dark and a light orange. I picked out my whites. I picked out the dark and the light green. And then there is no light and dark brown, so I just have brown. So I'm going to be using these, and I'm going to start some doodle work. What do you say? So I'm just going to touch a few of these, and yep, it's dry. I'm going to start doodling on the flowers, and then I'm going to put in the stems and leaves more towards the end. So I'm going to turn it around because see, my arm is going to lean, so I don't want to necessarily lean into my flowers. I'm just going to give this brown one an edge, and if I can see between the flower and the paint some of the blue or whatever colors in the background, then I'm going to go ahead and just give that a little fill in. And I think I'm going to go around. See, it's catching a little bit. It's got some wetness. So I'm going to just go around this center. Because these are acrylic paint pens, I'm not in danger of ruining the nib. I just wipe off if I get a little bit of paint on it. But it is something that you have to be aware of. But if you started with alcohol or Sharpie type markers, Copics, even watercolor markers, you would ruin them. They'll work through this project, but then when you go to use them in another project, the acrylic will dry and seal up your nib and you're done. Now, you can buy replacement nibs for some of these markers, but some of them you can't. So I strongly recommend against it. Let's see, how's this one? We're going to give it a go. And I think that this doodling is what really pulls this all together. I really do. And I've got another brown one here. I forgot the lines. I'm just putting spokes. Nothing complicated. You can do this. Get your art journal out. Get your cardboard out. Get a piece of watercolor paper out. Whatever you've got. Use what you have. And get yourself going with some art. You will be glad you did. It's so relaxing. I find this very relaxing. I know I'm just spinning and spinning this paper. I'm sorry. But I really would rather not drag my arm through it. Now, if I did, it's fixable. Don't ever think, oh, throw it away. Oh, no. Always fixable. May take a little minute, but that's okay. Okay, I've got all the brown ones. So I'm going to move to the orange ones, and I have two orange colors, and I'm going to start with the darker of the two. So I'm going to start with this one. Maybe I'll start with this one. Oops, see? Yep. If your pen feels like it's, just charge it. If it feels like it's getting thin or like you're just getting the binder and not the paint, the color, the pigment, just give it a shake and recharge it, because they separate just like tubes, just like jars. That's why they put those little BBs in there, to help you with the mixing. Cool. Okay, how about, I'm going to turn and do this one. Am I in the, oh, I've kind of meandered off, haven't I? I hope that you've been able to see what I'm doing. And look, I'm putting the spokes in before I did the outline. Yep, that's how I roll. Unpredictable. Good. One more. I do feel like putting the white like a base coat before laying in the flower color did make a difference. I think it was worth the extra time. I hope you do too. Our little fantasy flowers. This still is going to be, I mean, I can tell it feels like a long video, but I appreciate that you're hanging in there with me. I really do. Okay, one more. Kind of got a little off shape there, but that's all right. Flowers aren't perfect. Heaven knows I'm not perfect. I like the blue centers on the orange. I think that looks neat. Okay. All right. I'm upside down. Okay. What do you think? It's coming, isn't it? All right. I'm going to get the blue. And this is a darker blue, but that's okay. I'm going for it. And I am going to start with this one. I'll start with this little guy. And his brown center's hidden. There. Now moving over to this one. And just like I liked the blue on the orange, I like the brown on the blue. I think it looks cool. I think it looks fun. I think it looks refreshing. I like it. All right, finding another blue one right here. I think that having the leaves, some on top, some on bottom, has really added to this as well. I hope you think so too. Let me know in the comments. Okay, one more right here. And there we go. Okay, we've got our flowers done. Now we need stems and leaves. And then I still may put some more details on the flowers if you're up for it. I'm going to start with the dark green, the darker of the two. And I'm going to start with the darker leaves. And I'm going to be putting, outlining these leaves and adding some detail like that. Now the darker ones, I'm going to only add a center stem like that, or a center vein. Like that. And already in my mind, I'm trying to decide if I want my stems to be the dark color or the light color. And I think I'm just going to wait and see what the light color looks like once I add it. And I think that will help me to decide. How are you liking this so far? Oh, that went way off. It's making a difference. Good. Now where I like here, where I kind of went in too far, just make the line heavier, make it thicker, and just make up for the difference that way. Again, it adds kind of some dimension to it. It's really quite okay. And I'm not just saying that. It really is okay. I really did it on this one. How does it seem? We going good? Are you hanging in there with me? Maybe you sped it up and my voice sounds like a cartoon character. That's okay. Whatever works for you. Now I'm in a bit of a reach. That's all right. I don't think that much is wet just to the touch. You know what I mean? I think I just have 2 more. This is going fast, huh? The outlining part, I mean. I realize you've been sitting with me for a while if you're still with me, and I am grateful. You keep me company. Means a lot. I appreciate your being here so much. Okay. Very good. Now, let's jump right into the light green. Give it a push, and this may not show up as much. The colors may be awfully similar, but especially if you're looking at it close, it will. It does make a difference. Oh my. Got off kilter there. It's all right. I'm just going to put a single line in these two because it is so faint. Have you purchased any art supplies lately? Maybe you've gotten like a, I don't know, like a die cutting machine, or maybe you've got one of those Cricut type machines that does the vinyl. I mean, what are you working on, or what are you maybe saving up for? Right now, since I got my sewing machine, I really don't have anything on my want list to do my art. I want to start working on journals again, but I've been enjoying this acrylic painting so much. And I'm really excited that I started a new journal that I'm just designating strictly for these little acrylic paintings. Now they call them quick. You can see there's nothing quick about them. But if you consider that people that are working on large acrylic canvases, and I've done that, that's days. That takes days. So the fact that you can start and finish a painting in one sitting, like we're doing with this, it is fast. So it's, it's all kind of relative. All right, I'm going to start laying in some stems. I bet you saw that one there that I missed. I want the stems to be heavier at the bottom, a little bit lighter at the top. And I'm going to use, I think, the light on the light and the dark on the dark, with the idea that the dark ones will be in a little more in the background. So I'm going to start with the darker green. And these will run right off the page. Will I get a stem on every leaf? No. Or with every flower? Again, no. But, and I realize I'm starting and I'm going to be in my own way, but for this, I kind of want to have some control over the composition. So I'm just going to kind of struggle with that a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to bring this one up this way, how about? And I'm going to bring another one out that way. There. I just don't want any leaves, or any flowers appearing to be just floating. I want them to appear to be attached somewhere. That doesn't mean that I have to run something all the way from start to finish. You know, your eye will fill in some of that on its own. But I do want, like this leaf, it would just be floating. But if I bring it through here and then just stop, I don't need to work it all the way in. Does that make sense? Now, I do want to have some of the stems going on top from place to place. So I'm not really seeing an obvious place to run a stem right on top. But if I did, like right here maybe. We'll put these two because the flower is going to need a heavier one. There. See, like that. Yep. Okay. Do I have any floating leaves? I do. And I think I'm going to bring like that. And this one is barely floating, but it's floating. And this one's barely floating, but it's floating. All right. And if I find some more, we'll just keep working it out. All right. Now I'm going to get the light green. And this one is going to go over more. Because they're supposed to be more in the foreground, right? I'm going right over. Yep. There we go. And this one can just be going on and off the page. Same with this one. All right. Oh, floating leaf. All right. Right over the flower. Maybe this one will have a lighter stem. Like that. Okay. We'll have this one go right over. Okay, I remember I said floating leaf. Here's a floating leaf. How about the light ones? Here's a floating leaf. That one isn't really, it could or couldn't be, it doesn't matter, but because it's light, I'm giving it a home. All right, now I want to get the dark green and give this guy, he can go right off the page. And that's the only one I saw like that. Okay. Well, we're getting there. We're definitely getting there. I'm grabbing my white. I want to put some dots in my flowers. And one of the things this is going to do, besides the shape and the spooky design, is since I'm going to put the white on all the colors, it's going to help them feel more like a family. just like this. Adds a lot, doesn't it? I think it does. And yes, they're going to show up a little more on some colors than the other. That's all right. I think you'd notice if they weren't there, you know, if I completely missed a flower. This has been so fun and relaxing. I really would hope if you find yourself in stress, if you find yourself ruminating over things that you just could maybe take a break, give your mind, give your heart a break, and have some relaxation time like this. And if this isn't your bag, do whatever is to just kind of relax and chill a little bit. All right, let's see. Who am I missing? Sorry, spinning, spinning, spinning. It truly is therapeutic. And don't worry if you're not making a masterpiece. Good heavens, I'm doing this on a video, and I'm not thinking about whether or not it's a masterpiece. I'm not. All right. I think I've got all the flowers, dots. Now I want to do a little something with all these centers. And I don't want to use white. I think I'm going to use the light orange. And I think I'm going to just give them lines. And the lines are going to go different ways. Yep. Whoop. Yep, good. Did I get them all? I think so. Okay. Well, I think this looks cool. I really do. Is it a masterpiece? Well, I guess that kind of beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but I like it, and I sure did enjoy myself. I've got a big old smile on my face. So, sign your work always, always, always. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye.